Sorry. Hello and welcome back to the Ellen Maid book club. Today I wanted to talk about some books that I found yesterday. I wasn't planning on buying a lot of books, but I kind of did. We had an errand to run in the city and it was done a lot quicker than we thought, so we had some extra time. And of course I spent the time in a bookshop and running around some secondhand charity shops to see if they had any books that I wanted to pick up. And I know it's hard to believe, but they did. I think it's a pretty good mix of older books, new books, popular books, books I've never heard of, and one find in particular that I was really happy about. Let's just get into it. Also, is this not like the cutest mug you've ever seen? So out of the 9 books that I got yesterday, I had 3 of them on my want to read list on Goodreads. Then there were a few finds in the bookshop and a few finds in the thrift shops. So if you saw my last video, I was talking about The Secret History and how that book wasn't really all that I was hoping for it to be. And I think I might end up in the same situation again, but I'm hoping this is more up my street. I'm not really sure. It says on the back, seamlessly weaves in Greek mythology, psychology, and murder. Yes, please.
The Maidens by Alex Michelides. You are invited to join the Maidens, a secretive set of the brightest, most captivating students, the group from which each victim will be chosen. The Maidens are Cambridge University's most exclusive society, whose members are selected by the charismatic professor of Greek tragedy, Edward Fosca. When one of the Maidens is murdered, grieving young therapist Mariana Andros is drawn back to the idyllic campus where she was once herself a student. Because beneath the university's ancient traditions and beauty is a web of secrets, jealousy, and lies. And when the killer threatens the person she loves most, Mariana will give anything to stop them, even her own life.
So from what I've read or heard about it, this therapist, Mariana, obviously she's been to Cambridge University before as a student, and so she knows who this Professor Fosca is. I think that she thinks he's guilty, but like she can't prove it. Looking forward to this one. Next up is a secondhand find that I have never heard anything about. It's called An Anonymous Girl.
An Anonymous Girl by Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekkanen. Seeking women aged 18 to 32 to participate in a study on ethics and morality. Generous compensation, anonymity guaranteed. When Jessica Ferris signs up for a psychology study conducted by the mysterious Dr. Shields, she thinks all she'll have to do is answer a few questions, collect her money, and leave. But as the questions grow more and more intense and invasive, and the sessions become outings where Jess is told what to wear and how to act, she begins to feel as though Dr. Shields may know what she's thinking, and what she's hiding. As Jess's paranoia grows, it becomes clear that she can no longer trust what is real in her life and what is one of Dr. Shields' manipulative experiments. Caught in a web of deceit and jealousy, Jess quickly learns that some obsessions can be deadly.
Right, so this also has that psychological element. There's a study, morality, ethics, all stuff that I find really interesting. So I'm looking forward to this one. Okay, maybe there's a theme to this pile. It's not done intentionally. I just am interested in the story of women, and psychology interests me. But the next book is The Darlings' Asylum by Noel O'Reilly. Right, and on the front it also says, to marry is madness, to escape is impossible. So this is a darkly atmospheric psychological thriller oozing menace.
The Darlings of the Asylum by Noel O'Reilly. In 1886, a respectable young woman must acquire a husband. But Violet Pring longs to be a professional artist and live on her own terms. When she turns down a desirable marriage proposal from an eligible Brighton gentleman, her family have had enough of her independent streak. Against her wishes, they lock her away in Hillwood Grange Lunatic Asylum. Now at the mercy of the sinister Dr. Rastrick, she must keep her wits about her if she has any hope of escaping.
And it also says, this tantalizing gothic novel from Noel O'Reilly tells a thrilling story of duty and desire, madness and sanity, truth and delusion from within a Victorian asylum. I think that sounds very exciting. And I don't know, can you sense a theme? Well, this is weird. Another find at the charity shop is The Grandmothers by Doris Lessing. So I obviously recognize Doris Lessing as a name, as a famous author, but I haven't read anything from her. I've seen her books in like my parents' bookshelves, but it's never really interested me. I think I've been too young, basically. I think it's been a little bit, but like I'm 36 now, so I'm gonna give it a try. It says, in these 4 tales, Lessing shows her adaptability and her capacity to unify the most far-flung territories of human experience. I feel like this collection of 4 shorter stories, which are said to be quite different from each other, is maybe a good way to like see if I like her writing style.
Lessing's prose is as vigorous in these stories as it has ever been. She has an extraordinary feel not only for landscape but also for the human creature within it. The unforgettable characters of these 4 enchanting new novellas from the queen of British literature range from James Reed, a British soldier on the African fringes of the Second World War and his long-lost illegitimate son, to Ross and Lil, 2 lifelong friends whose past passions erupt to destroy the very people they love the most. These stories are as varied in style and subject as they are unified in their brilliance and insight into the often disquieting truths of the human condition.
I think that sounds really interesting, and I'm curious to see what I think of her as an author. Okay, let's talk about a newer book, and maybe something more lighthearted. I don't really read a lot of romantic novels or like rom-com-y kind of books. I've tried a few over the years, but they never really my vibe, so I just keep going back to the dark side of literature with psychological thrillers and mad women. I like what I like, what can I say? But this one stood out to me because the man disappears, so maybe I'm the mad woman, I don't know. This book is called The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. So this story takes place on Valentine's Day, and there's a man who has 3 dates on Valentine's Day, and he doesn't show up to any of them. Yeah, tell me more, please.
The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. 8:52 a.m. Siobhan's looking forward to her date with Joseph. Breakfast on Valentine's Day surely means something. So where is he? 2:43 p.m. Miranda's hoping that a Valentine's Day lunch with Carter will be the perfect way to celebrate her new job. But why hasn't he shown up? 6:30 p.m. Joseph Carter promised to be Jane's fake boyfriend at a dreaded engagement party tonight, but he's not here. Meet Joseph Carter. That is, if you can find him.
Yeah, I think that this could be a fun read. It's a bit of mystery. It's not maybe the usual cheesy, sleazy kind of thing that I don't enjoy with romantic novels. So hopefully this has a bit of a bite to it, maybe. I'm hoping. Okay, 4 books to go. Let's do another secondhand find that I have never heard of. The Dark Room by Minette Walters. I don't know, pretty chunky book, but like quite small. This is another darker story. There's crime, maybe also trigger warning. This deals with suicide. Jeez. The neighbors slammed their front door so hard it shakes my house. Anyways, this was published in 1995, so it's a bit of an older book, but still, 5 years ago. The Dark Room, some terrible things probably happened. Someone is waking up from a coma, and something else had happened, something so terrible that she was too frightened to search her memory for it.
The Dark Room by Minette Walters. The newspapers reported the case with relish. Jane Kingsley, also known as Jinx, fashion photographer and heiress, tried to kill herself after being unceremoniously jilted by her fiancé, who has since disappeared, together with Jinx's best friend, Meg. But when Jinx wakes from her coma, she can remember nothing about the alleged suicide attempt. With the help of Dr. Alan Prothero of the Nightingale Clinic, she slowly begins to piece together the fragments of the last few weeks. Then the memories begin to surface. Memories of utter desperation and absolute terror.
So yeah, I don't know. This is another darker story. Maybe it will be too scary for me. I don't know. Interesting to give it a go. Let's talk about this one. So this is The Maid by Nita Prose.
It begins like any other day for Molly Gray, silently dusting her way through the luxury rooms at the Regency Grand Hotel. But when she enters Suite 401 and discovers an infamous guest dead in his bed, a very messy mystery begins to unfold. And Molly's at the heart of it, because if anyone can uncover the secrets beneath the surface, the fingerprints among the filth, it's the maid.
I think I saw a description of like she's a suspect in the story and she kind of has to prove that she's not guilty. I don't really know. I'm hoping this is a kind of light-hearted murder mystery, like a good mix of the two. And yeah, I mean, it has gold on the front, so I'm hoping I'm gonna like this. Okay, we just have 2 books left now. One of them is new and the other one is a secondhand find. Right, so the next book is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. A lot of people seem to really enjoy it, and it's one of those books where people say like, it's best if you don't know too much before you start reading it. I'm hoping it's as good as everybody says. I'm not even gonna read what it says on the back, but it's about Piranesi. He lives in a house, perhaps he always has. I don't know, that's all I'm gonna read. I looked this up on Goodreads, and one of the books in the section where it says like other people also liked, or like people who liked this book also liked these books, and one of those books was The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, and I'm getting kind of a similar vibe from this, and I really loved Ocean at the End of the Lane, so I'm hoping I'm gonna enjoy this one too. I usually like something a bit mystical, so yeah, well, I'm excited to read this. So my memory card was full and I had to empty it. So if it looks a bit different now or if it's darker, that's why. I also reheated my coffee because, you know, I'm still good. So just one book left. And this is a book that I had on my want to read list. I found it at a charity shop and it cost 22 crowns, which is about $2. So I'm really happy about that. The book I'm talking about is The Mercies.
The Mercies by Kiran Millwood Hargrave. Winter, 1617. The sea around the remote Norwegian island of Vardø is thrown into a vicious storm. A young woman, Maiden, watches as the men of the island, out fishing, perish in an instant. Vardø is now a place of women. 18 months later, a sinister figure arrives. Absalom Cornet has been summoned to bring the women of the island to heel. With him travels his young wife, Ursa. In her new home, and in Maiden, Ursa encounters something she has never seen before: independent women. But where Ursa finds happiness, even love, Absalom sees only a place flooded with a terrible evil, one he must root out at all costs.
I'm expecting this to be about, you know, women empowerment, independent women, a lot of female characters. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I think there's a little bit of witchcraft in this one as well. I'm looking forward to reading this, and I am very, very happy that I found it secondhand. The new books in English in Sweden cost about $15-20, and all the books that I found secondhand were either $1 or $2. So that's good. So those were the 9 books that I got yesterday. I hope you found it interesting, or maybe you got a bit of a better idea of what kind of books I like what my tastes in books is, or what I'm likely to pick up at a bookstore. And maybe you want to read some of these books as well. If you do, let me know, and we can talk about them in upcoming videos. I'm not really sure where to start with this pile. I already have a pile of books that I've been meaning to read for a while. So yeah, but I'm definitely gonna read these in the upcoming weeks and months, and hopefully we can talk about some of them in a future video. And until then, I hope you have a really good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.